Last time, we uncovered the real secrets behind the Wizard of Oz. This time, we're uncovering the lies. On the surface, the Wizard of Oz teaches one of the simplest moral structures in modern storytelling. Dorothy and Glinda are good. The Wicked Witch is evil. And the wizard is the one who can send her home, the supposed savior. It's a clean opposition, innocence and danger. The message most audiences walk away with is straightforward. Dorothy defeats the witch, but that neat division between good and evil isn't the whole story, because neither Baum's original novel nor its later reinterpretations, like Wicked, are actually that simple. When you look closer, the labels fall apart, and the Wicked Witch becomes something far more complex than just another cartoon villain. The Wicked Witch of the West first appears in L. Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz in 1900, and she's very different from the green-skinned villain most people imagine. Baum describes her as powerful, but ultimately mortal. Physically deformed, often shown with a single normal eye, cowardly and cunning. In the novel, she rules the Winkies and enslaves them, using her magic and fear to maintain control. She commands wolves, crows, and winged monkeys, but she is not unstoppable. She fears water, and when Dorothy splashes her, the witch dies almost instantly. Her end is shockingly fast and undramatic, and importantly, Baum gives her no real backstory in this book. No childhood, no motive, no explanation for why she became wicked. She exists as a classic fairy tale archetype, the wicked crone, a symbol of opposition rather than a developed character, because Baum never explains her inner life. Her evil becomes a blank slate, one that later authors and creators could reinterpret, revise, or completely reclaim. Nearly a century after Baum, author Gregory Maguire re-examined the witch's story. His novel, Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West, published in 1995, doesn't just retell Oz, it rewrites the myth entirely. He gives the nameless witch a full identity. She now has a name, Elphaba, a family, a painful childhood, a moral compass, political motivations, and real relationships. This is a distinct shift. In Maguire's world, she isn't born wicked. She's made wicked by the way society treats her. Her green skin marks her as an outsider from birth. She is judged before she ever speaks, feared, mocked, and pushed to the margins. And her greatest danger isn't her magic at all. It's her ideas. Elphaba becomes a young revolutionary, a dissenter who sees corruption in Oz, especially in the wizard's regime, and refuses to stay silent. Maguire reframes her as a political activist. This is where her secret identity begins to emerge, in a world that needs villains to keep power. Even before Wicked, scholars argued that Baum's Oz was political. The original 1900 novel reflects themes from industrial-era class tension, the gold versus silver standard debate, populism, and labor movements. Some argue that Oz came from the word ounce, though a popular story claims he took it from his filing cabinet labeled O through Z. To some, Oz has always been more than a fairy tale. It's a symbolic map of America. In Maguire's retelling, this political framework becomes explicit. He turns Oz into a full-fledged authoritarian state. The wizard becomes a dictator, ruling through fear. Emerald City becomes a propaganda machine, dazzling on the surface, corrupt underneath. Talking animals lose their rights as the regime tightens control. Elphaba becomes one of the only voices resisting that system. In this version, the witch isn't power-hungry or a cackling villain. Elphaba's wickedness is a label, a tool of the government to discredit her. She's fighting against power. That makes her a revolutionary in this version, not a monster. Across myth and folklore, societies often choose a single figure to carry their fears and misfortunes. Anthropologists call this the scapegoat pattern. One person is blamed, so everyone else feels safe. In Wicked, Elphaba becomes that figure. Not because she commits great evil, but because she is different. She asks questions. She refuses to obey without reason. Stories often treat people like this as threats, not because they are dangerous, but because they challenge the story everyone else believes. It's easier for Oz to call her wicked than to admit the world is more complicated. The wizard needs a simple narrative. So Elphaba becomes the villain. The public accepts the label, and her fate is sealed. Her secret identity here is the chosen scapegoat, a character sacrificed so the system can pretend it's righteous. In the Wicked universe, especially in the novel, Dorothy isn't a villain. She arrives in Oz in the middle of a political conflict she doesn't understand. She accepts the version of events she's told, genuinely believes the witch is dangerous and acts with good intentions. Because she trusts the narrative others give her, she becomes an instrument of the wizard's agenda, almost by accident. So Dorothy becomes a symbol of a powerful archetype, the innocent outsider whose purity is used by others to justify destroying the monster. Dorothy doesn't hate Elphaba. She simply never learns the truth. This illustrates a darker theme. Even good people can participate in tragedy when they never question the story they're handed. Her role shows that the world of Oz needs a villain, and Elphaba is chosen to play that part. Wicked rewrites the ending we think we know. In Baum's tale, the witch dies on the spot, a single splash, and she's gone. But Wicked asks a different question. What if that wasn't the end? Maguire reframes her death as something else, a disappearance, a quiet survival, a secret victory. Whether literal or symbolic, the meaning is the same. You can destroy a person, but you cannot destroy an idea. Elphaba's supposed death becomes a transformation. She transforms from public enemy to hidden legend. From a narrative standpoint, this shows up in mythic figures who slip beyond the reach of their world. Arthur to Avalon, Moses to the mountain, the vanished hero who becomes rumor. The world thinks she's gone, but stories about her continue, and that is a different kind of immortality. In the end, Wicked gives her what Baum never did. Not redemption, but choice. She chooses her own ending, even if the rest of the world never knows it. The reason this story remains powerful is simple. Its themes repeat across history. Wicked asks us to look deeper at how stories are shaped and who gets to tell them. Its core ideas resonate because they explore how public narratives are created, how individuals are labeled heroes or villains, how society treats people who don't fit its expectations, how rumors replace truth, and how a single event can rewrite someone's legacy. And this is the moment when Wicked connects directly back to the Wizard of Oz. Because the story we all grew up with, Baum's book and the 1939 movie, is the public version of what happened. It's the simplified, comforting narrative the world accepts. But Wicked shows us the other side, the messy, political, human truth happening behind that fairy tale. It's not that the wizard deliberately rewrote history. It's that Dorothy only ever saw one version of the story. Wicked reveals the version she never did. Wicked Part 2 arrives at a time when many audiences are re-examining who gets misunderstood, who gets silenced, who gets remembered. It takes a well-known fairy tale and turns it around, asking, what if the villain never was a villain at all? That's why this sequel matters. Not because it changes the story, but because it challenges us to question the first one. It asks, when we decide someone is evil, do we understand them or just accept the story we were given? And that question is timeless. Not everyone loves Wicked's reinterpretation, and that reaction makes sense. In L. Frank Baum's original book, the Wicked Witch of the West is not a tragic figure. She is a villain to be defeated, a barrier on Dorothy's journey, and given no backstory. That was the point. She served the archetype of the wicked crone. So when Gregory Maguire reimagined her in Wicked as Elphaba, a sympathetic, intelligent political dissident, many readers felt something precious was being reframed. A lot of people feel that not every villain needs a tragic backstory. Lately, pop culture loves turning villains into misunderstood outcasts. Maleficent, Joker, Cruella. So when Gregory Maguire's Wicked reframes the witch as Elphaba, a persecuted, passionate activist, some fans push back because Wicked does fundamentally change her role. It reframes villain into victim of the narrative. For some people, that's powerful. For others, it feels like it dilutes the original story. And whether you agree with the reinterpretation or not, the cultural tension around her character is why she's still relevant. At its heart, Wicked endures because it speaks to a universal experience. Most people, at some point in their lives, have felt misunderstood, judged too quickly, labeled unfairly, excluded, blamed for something they didn't do. Elphaba represents that feeling. Her story asks, what happens to someone when the world decides who they are before they have the chance to show it? By giving the supposed villain her own perspective, Wicked flips the fairy tale to make us realize that there are always two sides to every story, and we rarely hear the one told by the outsider. So, was the Wicked Witch actually wicked? Or was she a misunderstood figure whose story was rewritten after her death? Her secret identity is not a monster, but a truth teller. And throughout history, truth tellers are the ones most likely to be feared, silenced, or labeled wicked. Wicked changes the story in a huge way. Some say it deepens the character. Others say it rewrites her too much. Let me know in the comments, where do you stand? Do you prefer the original Wicked Witch of the West or Elphaba? After all, there are two sides to every story. Some people even argue there are three: yours, mine, and the truth. If you enjoyed exploring the Wicked Witch, you may also like my deep dive into Morticia Addams' secret identity and what she really is. So go check it out. Thanks for watching.
Are people born wicked? Or do they have wickedness thrust upon them?